Good evening. Thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shereen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking this Friday evening. The Sensex and the Nifty end in the green for the third straight week, despite minor cuts on Friday. Retail investors reversed the selling trend by stocks worth $2.3 billion in Q4. Domestic institutional investors now own more than 15% of Indian equities, which is a record high. Mutual fund data for the month of May throws up a mixed picture. Equity mutual fund inflows dropped to a 6-month low, but SIP inflows hit a record high, touching nearly 15,000 crores. Global stock markets on edge after Vladimir Putin says Russia will deploy tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus from the 7th or 8th of July. Ukraine shares a 1,000-kilometer land border with Belarus. Shares of Indian Energy Exchange continue to plunge on fears of coupling for power exchanges in the country. Rival exchange HPX says the move will ensure uniform pricing across exchanges and the end of a monopoly of IEX. The CEO of IEX says the concept of coupling is being misread. The government is set to clear the air on the imposition of the 20% TCS on forex remittances from the 1st of July. Top Revenue Department official promises to issue a clarification along with frequently asked questions to address concerns. Baiju's lenders hit back after the company files a lawsuit against them in the US and elects not to make any payments. A group of term loan lenders says the lawsuit is meritless and an effort to avoid obligations. Officials from the RBI, Finance Ministry and industry bodies like NASSCOM deposed before a parliamentary committee on the rise in cyber frauds highlight inadequate law enforcement, overuse of one-time passwords and lack of capacity as some of the key challenges. Sam Altman, the creator of ChatGPT, meets Prime Minister Modi, discusses the future of artificial intelligence. The Prime Minister says the potential of AI is vast and India will welcome all collaboration. President Biden and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak agree on a new partnership to boost economic security in the face of threats from Russia and China. The Atlantic Declaration includes commitments on easing trade barriers, closer defense ties, and cooperation on artificial intelligence. The agreement, however, falls short of a free trade deal. Donald Trump becomes the first former president in U.S. history to face federal indictment. He's charged with 7 counts, including conspiracy to obstruct unauthorized retention of national security documents and false statements. Trump says he's innocent, adds he will surrender before authorities this Tuesday. Also on the show, a 21-year-old startup founder who's trying to make life-saving drugs affordable in rural India. A special report on the pharma startup generic Aadhaar and its founder Arjun Deshpande coming up. Well, let's start with the market action. The Sensex and the Nifty gained for the third straight week despite marginal cuts on Friday. The Sensex dropping 200 points after a range-bound session. But for the week, all major indices have gained almost 0.5%. And retail investors are back on the Lal Street. According to a JP Morgan report, retail investors have reversed the selling trend in Q4 and have bought stocks worth $2.3 billion. Lion's share of these investments have been made in large-cap companies that include the Adani Group, Reliance, State Bank of India, Ambuja Cement. These have been the top additions by retail investors in Q4. The top reductions include shares like HDFC Bank, Tata Motors, ITC, TCS and Tech Mahindra. And it's not just retail investors. Domestic institutional investors are also driving demand. DIIs now own more than 15% of Indian equities, and that is a record high. Well, we're not done with market data. Mutual fund data for the month of May throws up a mixed picture. Inflows into equity mutual funds dropping to nearly 3,000 crore rupees, the lowest level in 6 months. Despite the fall, inflows have remained in the green for the last 27 months. Inflows through systematic investment plans or SIPs hitting a record high of nearly 14,800 crore rupees. Well, let's move away now from stock market action to stock-specific action. Shares of Indian Energy Exchange continue to plunge on fears of coupling for power exchanges in the country. Now, this is what it means. The Power Ministry has directed the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission to initiate market coupling process of multiple electricity exchanges. Market coupling is a system where a single third-party entity will collate the buy and sell orders that are placed on the exchange and as a single point of contact for price discovery of those transactions. So, in effect, power trading platforms will become pure-play marketplaces with no control or influence over pricing of contracts. So far, IEX had some influence over how electricity was bought and sold on its platform and how it was priced. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, Rival exchange HPX says the move will ensure uniform pricing across exchanges and end the monopoly of IEX. But the CEO of IEX says the concept of coupling is being misread. Take a look.
I don't understand this market coupling, what we are now talking about, that different exchanges will be coupled through this. This will be something like, couple maybe BSE and NSE or couple Ola and Uber. So that don't make a real business case. I mean, it will kill basically innovation and competition in the sector. So I don't think the interpretation of the market coupling, which is now floating from the last one day, is the right interpretation.
Okay, so coupling becomes important if other exchanges have to get a market share in that. So this is true for all collective segments. So our market share was 0 last year. We started operations in July 2022, and therefore all the volume that we have gained is from the existing exchanges. Okay, so from that perspective, the number that you see falling for IEX, there is some contribution that we have made.
Well, that is the controversy over the new coupling regulations that have been put out by the government and the impact on power exchanges. In international news, Vladimir Putin says Russia will deploy tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus from either the 7th or the 8th of July. Putin and his Belarusian counterpart had previously agreed to deploy short-range nuclear missiles in Belarus. Ukraine shares a 1,000-kilometer land border with Belarus, and Russia has been using the border to wage a war against Ukraine. Now, Baiju's lenders have responded to the lawsuit that the edtech company filed earlier this week in New York, seeking the disqualification of Redwood. The group of term loan lenders who own 85% of the $1.2 billion loan have termed the lawsuit meritless and a tactic to avoid repayment. The lender group also warned that it will enforce the credit agreement if the company remains in default intentionally. The Enforcement Directorate has arrested Dhruv Kumar Bansal, the promoter of real estate firm M3M Group, in an alleged money laundering case. ED alleges that M3M received 400 crore rupees from another builder, that's the IREO Group, through shell companies. Both firms have been accused of diverting and misappropriating investor and customer funds. The government will roll out the 20% TCS charge on credit card spends outside of India from the 1st of July. Ahead of that, the Joint Secretary of the Revenue Department, Raman Chopra, said the government will issue a clarification on the rules along with frequently asked questions to address key concerns. Just 2 days ago, in an exclusive conversation with CNBC-TV18, the Chief Economic Advisor, Anantha Nageshwaran, had said the government acknowledged the concerns over the TCS and was looking to review the same. And speaking of the CA, Anantha Nageshwaran, he spoke at an event in Lucknow today and said that universal social security may not be necessary for a growing economy like India. He believes the support must be confined to those unable to participate in the economy. Take a look.
Universal social security as a concept for a growing economy may not be necessary, because the natural growth rate of the economy should provide opportunities for employment and income generation. So the support should be confined to those who are unable to participate in the economic activity. Universal social security for India is not something that should be on the agenda in the near term.
Well, that is the Chief Economic Advisor. The Parliamentary Committee on Finance has taken note of the rising cases of cyber frauds in the country. The panel called officials from the RBI, the Finance Ministry and the National Payments Corp and industry body NASSCOM to understand the complexity of digital frauds and what can be done as a remedial measure. Industry bodies have informed the committee that inadequate law enforcement, overuse of one-time passwords and the lack of capacity are some of the challenges in providing cybersecurity. The Parliamentary Committee is likely to present a report recommending tackling issues during the monsoon session. Now, do not give out your PIN code, personal details or OTP to anyone, and there is a reason this cautionary warning is repeated very often by banks and financial institutions. Santya Gora looks at one of the most common frauds being perpetrated, especially in this era of digital wallets and online banking. Take a look and take note.
Year-old Mangesh Malap is an electrician living in Virar, around 70 kilometers from Mumbai. He works over 12 hours every day to make around 650 rupees a day, which works out to around 20,000 rupees a month. He uses this money to support not just his family of 3, but his brother's widow and children, and contribute to running the joint family he's a part of. So when he lost 46,500 rupees to a fraud, it was a big jolt.
सडनली कॉल आया और मेरा 1 महीने से यूज़ नहीं किया था मैं एटीएम कार्ड, तो सडनली कॉल आया और आपका एटीएम कार्ड बंद होएगा, ऐसा होएगा वैसा होएगा। उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा कुछ बोला, आप ये नहीं कर सकते, अकाउंट कुछ ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं कर सकते, तो आप नंबर दे दो, मैं ऐसे एक्टिवेट कर देता हूँ। तो मेरे को सडनली कुछ इतना ये ध्यान में नहीं आया, मैं ऐसे नंबर दिया अपना एटीएम नंबर और ओटीपी भी दिया। जैसा मैं ओटीपी दिया तभी मेरे को क्लिक हो गया कि कुछ तो गलत हो गया, ये रॉन्ग हो गया। वैसे मैं कार्ड लॉक करने की कोशिश कर रहा था, तभी उनका डायरेक्ट मैसेज आया कि आपका 46,500 अपना डेबिट हो गया है।
The blow was harsher because Mangesh had just started saving again after spending his earlier savings on his brother's cancer treatment.
भाई को कैंसर हुआ था, तो उसके चक्कर में दो अढ़ाई साल हम लोग घूमा, ऑपरेशन भी किया, फिर टाटा में भी उसका ट्रीटमेंट चालू था, वो भी 1 साल किया ट्रीटमेंट, वो भी सक्सेस नहीं हो गया, फिर लास्ट में वो हो गया, ऑफ हो गया। बहुत ये किया हम लोग ने, लेकिन वो नहीं हो गया सक्सेस। वही सब बैंक बैलेंस वो उधर ही ख़त्म गया था उसके चक्कर में, जो फिर बाद में थोड़ा कुछ हो रहा था, तभी जाके ये 19 में ये प्रॉब्लम हो गया, तो वो भी था बैलेंस, वो भी सब के सब ले गया। कुछ 250 रुपये कुछ बचा था, वो खाली बचा।
Mangesh's story is not one of its kind. This method of conning people is extremely common. The frauds contact people posing as employees of a bank, electricity company, or any other crucial service provider. They ask for the key personal information in the guise of updating their accounts or updating their KYC information, saying that non-compliance will result in the victim's accounts getting suspended. The frauds then initiate a transaction and ask the victim to share their OTP. By the time the victim realizes that the person on the call is an imposter, large chunks of money have been withdrawn from their accounts. According to the National Crime Record Bureau, 2,028 OTP frauds were recorded across the country in 2021, higher than the 1,093 frauds in 2020 and the 549 cases recorded in 2019 before the COVID-19 pandemic. Experts say this number is still very conservative since a lot of such cases go unreported.
Every second, 8 new people are added to this internet activity, and they are not aware about these cyber frauds. And by considering our population, there are very few complainants are there, very few victims are there, and people are not aware about such criminal activity, cybercrime criminal activity.
They add that a lot of cases are tough to identify because the frauds often customize their stories and modus operandi to their intended victim, going off stolen or purchased data. While some say they are calling about expiry of debit cards, some claim they are trying to update KYC details to keep phone numbers active, and others claim they are calling to offer a last chance to keep the electricity supply running.
Suppose if somebody has got a data of insurance sector, then they will target the script, they will script it, their scam around insurance. If somebody has got a data of credit card, so they will start calling you saying that your credit card needs to be updated or a KYC has to be done. So depending upon the data, which is the backbone of the scam, the scammers or the threat actors start building their campaigns around it.
Mangesh tried to act when he realized he had made a mistake in sharing his OTP. He rushed to his bank branch to lodge a complaint and even filed an FIR, but the money was gone and the con men remain at large.
तो वही दिन शाम को पुलिस स्टेशन गया, उधर एप्लीकेशन भी दिया, फिर अपना पालघर में अपने मैं विराट स्टेशन में दिया एप्लीकेशन दिया, फिर पालघर में जाके वो साइबर क्राइम वाले उधर भी एक एप्लीकेशन दिया, ऐसा फिर बैंक में भी उसका एप्लीकेशन दिया, ऐसा 2-3-4 महीना गया, चक्कर मारते गया, कुछ रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आया.
Financial institutions and the authorities have been on overdrive to increase awareness of such crimes among citizens, saying this is the best way to prevent such frauds. They say any request for personal data, debit or credit card pins or OTPs should immediately set off red flags and be reported. They also urge that any online transactions only be carried out through verified, secure portals, and no sensitive information or documents should be uploaded to unknown or untrusted portals. Other advice includes don't answer video calls from unknown numbers and don't fall for attractive offers, because if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. In Mumbai, Santi Agora.
Well, do keep those things in mind. Now, an interministerial panel's report on the draft digital competition bill is in the final stages. It's likely to be submitted by the first week of July. Parikshit standing by with more. Parikshit, will this report shape the digital competition bill?
Well, absolutely. We believe that the draft is almost in its final stages, and a report with a set of recommendations and a draft bill will be submitted to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs by the first week of July. Now, as far as the gatekeepers go, the whole purpose of the digital competition law and setting up this committee, this interministerial committee, was to identify gatekeepers, big tech companies who can negatively influence the marketplace, use their dominant position to eliminate startups, newer entrants in the market. And therefore, this work was going on the lines of what's happening in the European Union. We're now given to believe by our sources that this report and this draft bill that is being prepared will exempt government bodies, government tech companies and government gatekeepers from the purview of the law. So this will not apply to government departments or undertakings. So possibly this could be a contentious issues with startups and other private big tech companies who would want a level playing field in India. This is something that the likes of Amazon, Flipkart have been asking for many years now. Coming to the issue on data regulation, we believe that this could also be a sensitive issue going forward. Even in the interministerial meetings, there has been some overlap, some difference of opinion between ministries like Electronics and IT, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, on how to approach regulations on data usage. Remember, a Data Protection Act is also under work, so let's see how these laws complement each other. But for the moment, we believe that work is on in the right earnest, and we will have a draft bill by the first week of July. But of course, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs will have to approve it. It will have to go to the cabinet, and finally, it will also have to go to Parliament to be approved as law.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. We will head into a break, but up next, a special report on a 21-year-old farmer startup that's making life-saving drugs affordable in rural India.
The MG Cluster Blackstone. Drive unstoppable.
नई कार खरीदने से पहले ऐको चेक करें और 36,000 तक बचाएं।
You're watching India Business Hour. The Indian Met Department has predicted heavy rainfall in southwest and some parts of northeast India. 8 districts in Kerala have been put on yellow alert, and heavy rains are expected to hit 5 districts in the state over the next week. The IMD has said some parts of Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura will also be hit by heavy rains over the next few days. Sam Altman, ChatGPT creator and the CEO of OpenAI, met Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. They are believed to have discussed the country's tech ecosystem and the future of artificial intelligence. The Prime Minister later tweeted that the potential of AI in enhancing India's tech ecosystem is vast. He wrote that he welcomed all collaboration for digital transformation. In international news, US President Biden and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak have agreed on a new partnership to boost economic security in the face of threats from Russia and China. The Atlantic Declaration will include commitments on easing trade barriers, closer defense ties and cooperation on artificial intelligence. The agreement, however, has fallen short of a free trade deal. Staying with the US, Donald Trump has become the first former president in US history to face federal indictment. He's been charged with 7 counts, including conspiracy to obstruct unauthorized retention of national security documents and false statements. However, Trump says he's innocent. He also says he will surrender before authorities this Tuesday.
I'm an innocent man, I'm an innocent person. Our country is going to hell, and they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI.
Well, that's Donald Trump. Online pharmacy FarmEasy under the radar after a Twitter user claimed that the company's pharmacist recommended a herbal product along with his existing order. In a now deleted tweet, FarmEasy justified the move, calling it an act of goodwill. Shruti joins us now with the details. Shruti, take us through what has transpired here and the company's response.
Twitter has been abuzz after Abhijit Majumdar, an IIT Bombay professor, put out his experience with FarmEasy. According to Majumdar, after placing an order, he got a call from a FarmEasy pharmacist who recommended herbal supplements along with his order of sugar medicines. Now remember, it is illegal to recommend medicines in India unless you're a legal medical practitioner. In fact, the Union Health Ministry in India recently said it is considering regulations and strict actions against e-pharmacies due to concerns over data privacy and malpractices. The central government is looking to regulate, restrict or prohibit the sale or distribution of any drug by online mode. Now, in response to Majumdar's tweet, FarmEasy defended the action, calling it an act of goodwill. And I quote from a tweet that has now been deleted. As per FarmEasy policy, we are required to follow the process of confirming the order. The team of pharmacists will always suggest to the customers a medicine or a product depending on your medical history. Kindly note that this is done in goodwill and you can always refuse the suggestion, end of quote. Now, when CNBC-TV18 reached out to the company, they refused to comment. However, a source in the company told us that it is a normal practice to suggest over-the-counter products like aloe vera juice, Chyawanprash, herbal immunity-building products, diapers akin to how a gym trainer or a family member would recommend someone, adding that medicines are not. However, the company's reply to the tweet clearly said that it recommends medicines and products. Back to you.
Affordable medicine. This has been the cornerstone of numerous government policies in the pharma space for years now. Drug manufacturers have also been working on making their products affordable, especially when it comes to life-saving drugs. And now, a 21-year-old is trying to make drugs and treatments cheaper still. Ashutosh Patki caught up with Arjun Deshpande to find out how his startup Generic Aadhaar is making medicines up to 60% cheaper for the end consumer, especially in rural India.
Generic drugs like paracetamol and amoxicillin are cheaper than their original molecule. But sometimes, even these can be hard on the pocket. But 21-year-old Arjun Deshpande from Thane has been trying to solve this problem for the last 6 years, ever since he turned 16. His solution, Generic Aadhaar, a medical franchise that has created an ecosystem where generic drugs are sometimes up to 80% cheaper than in the current system.
When I saw the real burning problem that people were not getting medicines, what is the basic necessity at affordable price. So from there my journey started, and today we are present in 2,000 plus stores we have across the nation and providing affordable healthcare.
Deshpande has managed to cut costs drastically by sourcing drugs directly from the manufacturer and distributing it through his outlets. He says he has completely cut out the middlemen from stockists to distributors.
Up to 80% lesser price.
For instance, diabetes drug glimepiride, which normally retails for 110 rupees per strip, is available a little over 5 rupees through Generic Aadhaar. Anti-allergen levocetirizine, which usually retails for 55 rupees, is available for under 6 rupees per strip. The list is long. Deshpande's idea has grown at an exponential rate, not just in terms of turnover, but in the number of job opportunities it has created in both semi-urban and rural areas.
Generic Aadhaar today have 500 crore plus valuation, and we are directly indirectly giving around 10,000 jobs across the nation. With that, we are also giving around 2,000 micro entrepreneurs. So we are also empowering micro entrepreneurship on ground who are willing to start our franchises, and the small mom and pop stores who are already there into the industry from a decade.
Generic Aadhaar has also expanded its product portfolio significantly over the years and even supplies generic drugs used to treat ailments like cancer. Deshpande mentions the biggest challenge is making drugs accessible to rural markets, and that's his focus.
Our vision is not to expand in just urban cities, but with that, the real need is about the 3-tier cities, the rural part of the country, because I personally believe that the real India starts 40 kilometers away from the urban cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and that is the real need what we have to solve on. There is a small village in Bihar, Kusheshwar Asthan. Over there is a population of 15,000. There is one doctor, one pharmacy, one hospital. That doctor have taken the franchise of generic Aadhaar, and we are serving the people in the rural part as well.
Generic Aadhaar has tied up with the Andhra Pradesh government to set up 120 stores in the state and with the UP government for 700 stores. Rural India is not the only focus though. Deshpande says making affordable and accessible drugs for humans is not enough. So he is diversifying into veterinarian medicines as well. Something he says will provide relief to both pet owners and farmers.
Because when we talk about farmers, so they all have for poultry farming or different kind of farming, they need the help of the animals. And once the animals become ill or something, the medicine cost for the animals is too much for them. So all the profit what they earn from farming is being going into treating their animals. So what we're doing on our veterinary medicines will help the farmers to cut down the cost on the medicines, and our franchises of veterinary are also going to start in different kind of parts of the country.
The Indian generic drug market stood at $24 billion in 2022 and is estimated to reach $130 billion by 2030. After sustaining COVID-19 pandemic, the global generic drug market is projected to go beyond $500 billion. Hopefully soon we'll see the day when medicine affordability will not be an issue for the citizens of our country.
And generic Aadhaar is banking on riding high on this big wave of growth, and it increases both drug affordability and accessibility. In Mumbai, Ashutosh Patki.
Well, that's it on this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday with lots more action.